Good morning. It's Friday, March the 5th, 2021, and let it be known, Evanston, Illinois has become the first city in the country to fund reparations in an effort to compensate Black Americans for the loss of generational wealth due to inequality and systemic racism. The 150-year-old city located in Chicagoland along the North Shore of Lake Michigan plans to distribute $10 million in tax dollars to the cause over the next decade, with $25,000 payments to be used toward housing for eligible residents beginning in April. The money comes from a 3% tax on legal marijuana, where ironically 70% of those arrested in the city on illegal marijuana charges are Black people, and Black people make up just 16% of the population there. So as HR 40, the U.S. House's bill makes its way to the Senate, Evanston, Illinois has acted. And so with that, we're going to bring in our president and CEO and an iconic civil rights leader, Dr. Benjamin Chavis. Dr. Chavis, good morning.
Good morning, Stacey. And on behalf of the Black Press of America, this is another Friday. We're in Women's History Month, and we are breaking headlines and let it be known.
Absolutely, Dr. Chavis. And Dr. Chavis, I have to give credit where credit is due always when it comes to you and what you do, because you brought that story to my attention just a few hours ago. So,
yes.
And we will have a lot more of that on blackpressusa.com. Please stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more on that groundbreaking reparations in Illinois. Is actually tangible this time. $25,000 toward housing for the city's Black population. With ending systemic racism behind two bills the House passed this week, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and the For the People Act of 2021 that attacks voter suppression, lawmakers have signaled a desire to stamp out oppression affecting another specific group, Black farmers. And you can also read about that at Black Press USA. But the U.S. House Agriculture Committee approved a landmark $5 billion program of debt relief for socially disadvantaged farmers, despite Republican opposition that claimed that the aid was unconstitutional and a form of reverse discrimination. Chairman Davis Scott, a Georgia Democrat, said that minority farmers deserve the help because they have been overlooked in the mammoth trade war and coronavirus relief programs that began last year. Under the proposal, the government would pay off USDA loans and USDA guaranteed loans held by socially disadvantaged farmers and give an additional 20% to the farmers to cover income taxes associated with the debt relief. The measure is part of President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, now before the U.S. Senate. Big news for Black farmers, Dr. Chavis.
Very big news for Black farmers. And, you know, a lot of brothers and sisters 20 and 30, maybe 40 years ago, left the farm and went to the cities. Now I see a reverse. People are still going to hold on to their properties in big cities, but they're going back to the farms, going back to agriculture. You know, Carter G. Woodson and many of the founders of Black History Month used to say, if there's no agriculture, there's no culture. And so I think that having the land, tilling the land, you know, we're great farmers, and I think this is a great bill. Now, I hope we got to get it through the Senate. You know, I think all the legislation that was passed this week in the Congress of the United States on voting rights, on police reform, and now working its way on agriculture, and also HR 40 with reparations. All these bills are very important to Black America, but we have to put pressure now on our United States senators. So I think every listener, every viewer this morning on Let It Be Known, contact your United States senator and let them know how important these pieces of legislation are to the quality of life, not only for Black America, but for all Americans, but particularly for Black Americans who for decades have been systematically discriminated against, for decades who have been systematically brutalized, for decades who have been systematically having their voting rights suppressed. So now's the time. It's a great reckoning. I see 2021, Stacey, as the year of reckoning.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say good morning to Joni King, David Youngblood, James Wright of the Washington Informer, Lynn Spivey, DJ Jazzy Me, and Gregory Haney, and all those who are watching, Annette Phillips as well. We don't want to leave anybody out, but thank you all for watching. Dr. Chavez, on Monday, Minneapolis is gearing up for the trial of Derek Travon, the former police officer charged in George Floyd's death. That sparked nationwide protests and calls for an end to police brutality last summer. On May 25th, 2020, that officer was seen on video kneeling on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes as George Floyd cried out that he could not breathe. He called for his mother. Floyd, who was accused of using a counterfeit $20 bill, was handcuffed and pinned to the ground by 3 officers during the arrest. But George Travon continued to press his knee into Floyd's neck minutes after he became non-responsive, as bystanders repeatedly pleaded with the officer to check for a pulse. He and 3 other officers were fired a day after Floyd's death and were charged the following week. And we know that your friend down in Minneapolis, the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, is on the case, Dr. Chavez.
Yes, well, Keith Ellison is the Attorney General of Minnesota. He's a close friend and colleague, former member of the Congressional Black Caucus. He represented Minneapolis in the Congress of the United States. Then he ran for statewide office. A lot of people question for why would he leave Congress, but he knew what he was doing. He got elected statewide as the Attorney General. Now he's in charge of the prosecution of the officers who murdered George Floyd. So the whole world is going to be watching to see how the criminal justice system there is going to work in Minnesota and Minneapolis in light of this brutal murder last year.
Yeah, and that's something else you can follow through the Black Press, Black Press USA, and of course our member newspapers, especially those in Minneapolis. We have 2 great papers there that you'll be able to read all about it each day of that trial. So
right, the Inside News, Insight News, and the Minnesota Spokesman. We want to make sure that we support our African-American newspapers in Minneapolis.
Yep. And it's breakfast time. So good morning to Carney's Catering Chef Leo. Good morning, Chef Leo. We are pleased to have you join us. Also this morning, Dr. Chavez, some good news out of Tennessee. Law enforcement has recovered 150 missing children after a months-long investigation. The children between the ages of 3 and 17 were found in 3 two-week blitzes throughout the state. 5 of the children were suspected to be victims of human trafficking, investigators had said, and 1 was rescued as part of a kidnapping investigation. The recoveries are among the largest for recent missing children by any state in the United States. A number of arrests have been made following the probe, and one U.S. Marshal said, "I hope this operation changes the course for 150 young lives and lead them to the path of opportunities every child deserves." As reported in the Black Press, over the past several years, 156,000 children of color under the age of 18 are missing and unaccounted for in the United States. And we have to continue to shine a spotlight on that, Dr. Chavez.
Absolutely. And the majority of them are missing Black girls. This is Women's History Month. I can think of no better way to observe, acknowledge, and lift up the role of women in our society. But we got to save our girls. We got to save our children. And I think that all states need to follow what happened in Tennessee so that we can start not only rescuing these children, but prevent them from being taken in the first place. It's a crisis in America. A nation that does not take care of its children, does not protect its children, is a nation that will not stand.
Oh, absolutely. Well said, of course. And we will continue to follow the plight of not just missing Black girls, but missing Black boys as well. The majority of the missing children under the age of 18 in America, according to the FBI, are African American. And law enforcement has done an atrocious job of finding these kids, or even trying to find. The issue, Dr. Chavez, is not them finding them. It's whether or not they're looking for them. And we know mainstream media has basically turned a blind eye to the plight of missing Black children in America.
Absolutely. And that is why we're going to continue our series on missing Black children, on missing Black girls, through the Black Press of America. We're doing a special on it also. And I want to thank you, Stacey, for taking the lead as our national senior correspondent to get all of our papers and to get all of our people to focus on this serious matter.
Yeah, we have a mission to do so and hopefully bring as many, if not all of them, home safely. In recognition of Women's History Month, we spotlight someone who has changed the insurance industry forever. She is known as the Queen of Life Insurance, the founder and managing member of Ruffin Consulting Service. We say good morning to Ebony Ruffin. Good morning, Ebony.
Good morning, Stacey Brown. Good morning, Dr. Chavis. How are you all?
Sister Ruffin, good morning to you, and thank you for your leadership in the industry that we definitely need to be a part of, the insurance industry. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. Growing up as a young girl in Montgomery, Alabama, and learning from my mother, who was active duty military in the Army for 20 plus years. I give thanks to her for teaching me the importance of life insurance early on in life, and that I may carry that message with me now as an adult and help change the narrative in our community of life insurance from a death benefit to a wealth benefit.
Oh, absolutely. And Ebony, women make up a majority of entry-level positions in the industry, approximately 58%, but make up less than a third of insurance executives. And they tell me you are changing the game. Explain that to us and how women in general are changing the game in the insurance business.
I think I would say many years ago, we had this image of what a professional insurance person should be or look like. And that was typically a male, possibly not from our community, that we determined to be the expert that we should receive insurance advice from. And as a woman and as a Black woman, I knew that I not only had the education, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, but I also had a relatability factor that truly understood the gap of insurance in my community. So I focused on education and seeking to understand first, and I've been able to change the trajectory of many families by insuring families.
That's fantastic. And we know too that when it comes to life insurance, African Americans are way behind in that. You talk about generational wealth. Can you talk about that and what you might be doing and others might be doing to try and change that?
Focusing on not just life insurance as burial insurance, but focused on life insurance for additional income during retirement, for estate planning and taxes, and for generational wealth. So I like to take the approach of the DIME method. That is DIME, debt, income, mortgage, and education. So that shows that when we're doing a full analysis of life insurance, we're not just focused on the cost to bury a loved one, but we're focused on the debt that requires to be satisfied after a loved one passes away. How many years of income replacement will your loved ones need? What will be the outstanding balance on your mortgage? And do you have children or dependents that will rely on you for education? And in addition to that, what if it's not higher education that they're pursuing, but they need seed money or capital to start a business? So when you focus on the wealth benefits of life insurance, it's a no-brainer how you're changing the narrative, and it's more than just a death benefit.
Yeah, and one of our viewers, Chef Leo, is asking if you could explain the difference between whole life versus term life.
Absolutely. So there are two parent levels to life insurance. There is term life insurance and permanent life insurance. Whole life is a form of permanent life insurance. So let's start with term life insurance. The best way to explain term life insurance is very much similar to renting property, renting an apartment, renting a car. You enter into a contract. At the time period in which that contract expires, you have the option to renew your life insurance, or you have the option to not renew your life insurance. There's no cash value accumulation. There is no, oh my goodness, I've paid for this life insurance for 30 years. What do I get at the end of it? What you received was coverage in the event that you passed away. Term life insurance is great for, let's say, parents who have children that are headed off to college and they are focused on making sure they're controlling their expenses in their household, but they do understand the importance of life insurance and want to secure life insurance at an affordable rate to at least continue to cover education and or the mortgage balance for the home. Term life insurance is a great solution for that. What we often find in the market is many families will pursue term life insurance, have the coverage for 30 plus years, and as they get to their older years in life and it's time to renew that term life insurance, it costs you a substantial amount more to keep term life insurance at the same face amount, but with a higher premium. You now have permanent life insurance. Permanent life insurance has taken on different forms in the market, from whole life insurance, index universal life insurance, and you're paying a hefty price for permanent life insurance, but it still serves as a solution. I'll give an example. When I went off to college, undergrad at Auburn University, I had the perfect checklist together of what I thought I needed for school. There was one item on the checklist that I did not have that my mother had on her checklist, and that was life insurance. My mom chose to purchase a permanent life insurance policy on me as a young woman entering into college because my age and my health allowed me to get a nice size amount in coverage for a lower cost of premium. In addition to that, the premium payments were building a nest egg for me in what's called the cash value account, a permanent life insurance policy. So now I still have that policy to this very day. The premiums are the same, and I have a cash value account where I may withdraw the money if I want to use it as a down payment for an investment property, or if I need capital to further business ideas. So I would say that's definitely a great example where permanent life insurance may be a solution for your home.
Yeah, and Ebony, we also know, especially during the pandemic, we've heard so much about pre-existing conditions, right? Health conditions.
Yes.
In the insurance business, we know that African Americans also have a difficult time getting quality life insurance, if life insurance at all, because they are turned down because of pre-existing conditions. Can you talk a little bit about that and how do you overcome that?
So the first approach that I take is a needs analysis and learning more about my potential client. Most life insurance companies offers I would say a tool to agents that identifies high risk pre-existing conditions or uninsurable conditions. As agents, it is our responsibility to make sure that we're going above and beyond to truly assess whether or not our potential client can get insured. When I speak with clients and I learn of certain medications that they may be taking or certain health risk factors, or just experiences of their family members, I prepare what I call a preliminary case and I submit it to underwriting. I focus on whether or not that potential client can get insurance with the insurance company I'm appointed with. And if they can, will it be at a different rate class that will cause their cost of insurance to be much higher? So I think it's more of the due diligence that you take on the front end instead of pushing a client through an application process and then possibly they're being denied.
Gotcha. Dr. Tatum, this is some great information.
It's some great information, and a lot of our viewers, Ebony, you should know that saying thank you so much for sharing this information. I come out of North Carolina, and I remember when North Carolina life insurance, which grew to the largest Black business in the world at one time, it has declined over the years. And then there was Atlanta Life Insurance Company. Some of the wealth building that was done in our communities 50, 60 years ago was because of insurance. But this is something that we need to get back into. And can you just comment, Sister Ruffin, about the importance of wealth building, wealth generation for African Americans? We spend over $1 trillion every 12 months in the U.S. economy. Let me repeat that. We spend over $1 trillion but very little of that money is invested in wealth building or revenue generation activities. So, can you just spend a minute or so about the importance of generating wealth? And each generation has a responsibility to make sure that the next generation behind them
Yes.
has wealth and not poverty.
Absolutely. I would say the first thing is we have to get out of our mind that we cannot afford life insurance. It's a no brainer when we have to get mortgage insurance, homeowners insurance, insurance on our cell phones, our laptops, on our vehicle. I want us to take the same approach and make it just as important to get life insurance on our life. By doing that, you're not only focused on just yourself, but you're focused on your family's name and the impact that that one decision will make for many generations to come. When you think about life insurance, my mantra is life insurance is not just a death benefit, it's a wealth benefit. Say, for example, you have your grandparents in your family or even your parents. We should definitely be making sure that our grandparents and our parents have adequate life insurance coverage. Maybe that looks as if the children have to pull their money together and make sure that the parents are insured or the grandparents are insured. Then you can look at maybe naming a trust as the beneficiary of that insurance policy and having stipulations around how the money is or delivered from the trust to ensure that the funds continue to run throughout the family and it's not wasted or spent in a wasteful manner. It is very difficult for us to have a conversation these times and talk about generational wealth and exclude the whole concept of life insurance and what it means to have adequate life insurance coverage and the right type of life insurance coverage for your needs. Because I've identified some myths in the market, which is life insurance is not affordable, it's confusing, or I have time to buy it. Because of that, I created a life insurance e-course that's totally free because it's focused on educating you first so that you feel more knowledgeable and empowered to seek life insurance. And once you're with the right life insurance company and the right agent, there's no doubt that life insurance can truly create generational wealth for your family.
Wow, it's outstanding. So, tell us a little bit more about Ruffin Consulting. When did you start that? And tell us how do people get in touch with Ruffin Consulting?
Yes, so Ruffin Consulting Services is available for outreach and information, educational resources on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. And it's all under Ruffin Consulting Services. Of course, the website is very informative, as well as the newsletter, ruffinconsultingservices.com. And then if you like to ask questions by phone, you may also call me at 888 9 Ruffin. Again, that's 888-9 Ruffin. My goal with Ruffin Consulting Services is to function as a platform that educates and inspires everyone across the globe on the importance of life insurance. I, Ebony Ruffin, am licensed and I'm appointed with a life insurance company to be able to provide you the best life insurance products and annuities to meet your needs.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier how when you were going to college, you had life insurance. Can you again expound on that to let people know just how important it is to get it early?
So I would like to say I'm just very thankful for my mom, who was a young woman from Montgomery, Alabama, decided that she wanted to leave Alabama and join the military, the United States Army. And I think through her experience, she learned so much about financial planning that she passed that information on to me in real time. And although I may not have understood the importance of the financial decisions in that moment, I was taking in the information and now I'm able to apply it later in life. When I was preparing to go to undergrad, no one talks about life insurance. I mean, we talk about books, we talk about living on campus, off campus. Can you take a car? Maybe some people are setting up their bank accounts for the first time and being open to a new experience. But in our households, we are not talking about life insurance at that point in life. My mom, whatever the trigger was for her, knew that life insurance was important. We've already had a banking relationship with USAA, so going through the application process was very streamlined and easy. She made me the insured and the owner of the life insurance policy, and she decided to be the payer. Why I say that this is so important is beyond the application process, I forgot about the life insurance policy. It wasn't on my radar, it was not important. Many years later in life, there was a statement at home with my name on it, and I opened the statement. In addition to seeing the face amount on the statement, I also saw what's called a cash value amount on the statement. And when I saw the number, I was like, Mom, what's this? Like, is this money for me? Can I withdraw it? And at that time, she explained to me how cash value works. And if I wasn't in a dire need of the money or going to use it for something important, not to touch it, to allow it to continue to accumulate for me in life. So to this very day at my age, and I've been at college many years, at this point, I still have that life insurance policy. And I look forward to being able to share a greater testimony in life to say how I was able to withdraw that cash value and use it for something great in life.
You mentioned too, what's interesting, I talked about pre-existing conditions, but your mom was in the military, which is a pre-existing condition in the insurance world, isn't it? And so can you, break that down just a little bit more, because that is something that, again, I know many of our viewers and many in the African-American community are really interested in knowing about.
So as the dependent, I was in active duty. So me being insured and as the owner of the policy was the easy part. Now, if you are active duty military, that is one of the questions on the life insurance application. And so it does put you in a higher risk class where the cost of insurance for you will be much higher compared to someone that's not serving in the military, just based on your career. So that is also one factor to take into consideration when working with a life insurance agent. But you also have companies like USAA, Navy Federal, that may be more, I would say, easier to work with when it comes to those type of products, because their primary market would be service members.
All right. Well, Dr. Chavez, I'm going to throw it to you for the last word. Ebony Ruffin, Ruffin Consultant. It is a fabulous privilege to have you this morning. Dr. Chavez.
Yes. Well, I join you, Stacey, and I see Karen Carter Richards, the chair of the NMPA, also just texted me. She said to tell you, Ebony, that you're giving out great information, very timely information to Black America. We wish you all the best, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate Women's History Month than to lift you up, because you are making history in real time. You're giving out vital information in real time. And I just know that Ebony Consultants is going to grow. I think you've given out the number, the website, and I hope all of our viewers now will use the information that you've given out today to help generate wealth in Black America.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again, Ebony Ruffin. And every day during Women's History Month, talking about lifting someone up, we lift up another Black woman. This time it's Eleanor Tatum of the New York Amsterdam News, the oldest and largest Black newspaper in the city of New York and one of the oldest ethnic papers in the United States. Eleanor Tatum was appointed to editor-in-chief in 1997, becoming one of the youngest publishers in the history of the Black press. She began at the newspaper as a journalist, covering issues local and national affecting Harlem and the Black community. Under her watch, the Amsterdam News was modernized to include an online edition, a new layout, and refocused with content relevant to a wider African-American community in New York and across the nation. Eleanor has positioned the paper as a critical part of the national political discourse concerning African Americans. Born and raised in New York, Eleanor Tatum graduated from St. Lawrence University with a BS in Government Studies in 1993. She continued her education at Stockholm University in Stockholm, Sweden, studying international relations and the Swedish model of government. Eleanor holds a master's degree in journalism and mass communications from NYU. In addition to her career in journalism, Eleanor Tatum is a philanthropist and holds many civic position. So we lift up, I should say, Eleanor Tatum of the Amsterdam News, my hometown paper. Let it be known, hate is too great a burden to bear. It injures the hater more than it injures the hated. We will see you on Monday. Have a great and safe weekend.